then just to introduce our speaker today, he's a local Detroiter, so we're happy to have him. His name is Freddy Diaz. Freddy Diaz comes from a graffiti background since 2005. Freddy is an internationally known artist recognized for his versatility in artwork that varies from murals, canvas, sculptures, and clothing. With the help of the community, he has been able to branch out to work with companies such as General Motors, Ernst & Young, Lear Corp, Adidas, as well as painting in countries such as Italy, France, Portugal, Netherlands, Denmark, Sweden, Cuba, Colombia, and Mexico. So, Freddy, thank you for being here with us. And then...
Thank you for having me.
I don't know if you want to add anything else about yourself that I didn't mention.
I'm just grateful to be here. So thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, no, thank you for your time. All right, well, if you have we're doing a Q&A with Freddy, and then if you have any questions that you want to ask him, please just either drop them on the Q&A button or just on the chat, and we'll make sure to get those to Freddy. So just to start off, I'm gonna show you guys a little bit of Freddy's work. It was really hard to just bring that to just 3 slides. It's just it's a lot of good work in there. These are just some of my favorites. But I would like to start just like, if you can tell us what got you into art, and if you were an artist today, what would you be doing right now?
That's a good question, the second one, but I think art just kind of happened naturally. Just being, I think, from Detroit, for many years it was really low. We had a very bad economy, so like a lot of buildings in Detroit were abandoned, and so a lot of graffiti was being painted in the buildings. And so like even as kids, you know, we'd be, you know, just playing around, breaking stuff, or like just like going in the buildings. And then we just became familiar with graffiti, and so it was just like an urban thing that just had existed before, you know, as I was a kid. And so once I picked up graffiti, it became like, I think it was like a genre of art that I picked up. And then as I got older, I started to learn how to transition that into other forms of art and other mediums. But I think that if I wasn't doing art right now, I'd find a way to be painting something. I think like maybe I'd work as a car painter or something, you know, like, cause I do like lowriders. So like, so like maybe like just learn how to do auto body, or like, even just maybe like design. I really like clothes and fashion design, or like, you know, web design or something that would always have me being creative. So
nice. Yeah. That's really nice. So since you were little, you were like, I mean, you were into drawing and all of that?
No. So it's kind of crazy. I never drew any like faces or like people or like anything when I was in high school or throughout my middle school or nothing. I didn't start drawing until I went to art school after I graduated high school. So I didn't know that it existed. Like I completely was like oblivious to it. I didn't know, because like since middle school I started doing graffiti at 13. So it was always like letters and like, you know, just like always like bending letters and coming up with different styles, and that was like the ultimate like creative freedom for me as an artist. And I've never, it's not that I guess I was always overwhelmed to like actually try to draw. And it wasn't until I had to take classes in art school that like they kind of pushed me to like get outside the letters and actually try to draw figures and like circles and squares, and like learning word perspective and light and all that stuff. So like I only went to art school for 3 semesters, but like those 3 semesters like kind of like established the basics that I needed to learn. And then from there on, like I'm a pretty slow learner, especially if I really like something. I don't want to like rush in and like master it right away. Like I like to kind of like like experiment and like give myself the time to like develop. So like like all that stuff from those first 3 semesters, everything just kind of like, like kind of like it kind of like slowly started to improve, and then I started to meet other artists, and then they really helped me get better. So it's just like I've always like I've always been someone that like if anybody has any advice for me, like I'd rather always be the student than the teacher. And so hence why I still like I've always been looking for kids to help out and like that I can like mentor, but it's really hard, because I feel like for anybody that really wants to learn, I feel like they kind of already have that within, so it's like it's kind of not something that you can sort of teach to somebody. It's sort of that something that somebody has to already want to do, and
Yeah,
then they gravitate towards it. So but yeah.
that's awesome. That's awesome. So, can you walk us through your creative process? Like, obviously, for your murals and even your paintings, I'm sure that all of them are different, all of them are just very unique. But, like, what's your creative process? And then, how long it takes, you to complete a mural or a painting?
I think that it really depends on the project. Every project's different. So like there's some projects that if they're corporate, like they have to get filtered out through like, man, like sometimes it's like 10 people making the decisions. So like you'll start off with one drawing and then you send it out, and then by the time it comes back to you, like it turns out to be a whole different concept. So it's like that's one thing that's kind of crazy. And so like a lot of that stuff gets done digital before anything gets painted on the wall. And so, but if it's something that's community based that I really like, and I'll maybe work on it for a couple of days. But I'm like the kind of artist that like once I get going on it, I don't want to lose that momentum. So like I don't take breaks until I finish. Otherwise, like I might as well just start something else, And so like I don't know if it's like an ADHD or I don't know what it is, but like I'm like very OCD when it comes to certain projects and like just executing. And so I would say like murals, depending on the scale, they probably take like maybe three days to like a week to complete, and just depending on if I already have the concept down, previous to starting the wall, or if like a lot of it's organic where I'm just having fun with friends. But like I do like the process where like half of it will be pre-designed, where I kind of have an idea where things are going to lay out, and then when I'm on the wall or when I'm on the project, like I'll actually like I'll get new ideas as I'm going, and like that's kind of some of my favorite parts of every project. It's like kind of like when ideas come about in the process of actually doing the mural.
Cool. So, like, you can like change as you go for some of these projects.
I think that there's some flexibility because it's I feel like as long as you're consistent amongst your work, and I think that that's the advice that I give any artist. Like if anybody ever wants to become a muralist or just like become a freelance artist, is it's important to have the projects that you make a lot of money and that pay the bills and help you like sustain yourself as an artist. But it's also important to have some sort of integrity of like a consistency of work that you want to be doing, because like the advice that I will just on my experience is if you do one project that of a style of work you don't like doing, you will attract 10 more of that style. So like just always try to like steer in a direction of the kind of work you want to do so that you attract more work that you like doing. And even if it's a lot less, like you're still the whole time, it doesn't feel like you're not, it doesn't feel like a job to you, and you're enjoying what you're doing. And so I do understand like sometimes there's going to be projects that you just hate doing but the pay is good. So it's just finding that balance is important, because like you want to make sure that your bills are paid, and you want to make sure that you're making good income, but you also want to make sure that you're happy with the art you're making. So like if I was to put it into perspective, like you look at like some of your favorite musicians, if you're a diehard fan, they have like the albums, where some songs are meant for you, like for the person that's been following their work forever, and other songs are meant for the radio, and that's what generates their money and how they make a living. And so it's just kind of learning how to like dictate that, like where your market's going to be, and how you're going to make a living, but also have some integrity to have that balance of like it's still consistent to me. It still identifies to my work and to my identity as an artist. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great answer, great advice. I think you, as an artist, still, like you say, you have to have integrity, right? You have to also show who you are and be true to who you are, right? I think that's one reason why we're having these talks this whole month, because we wanna, we wanna show our culture, and we wanna be, just be proud of who we are. So yeah, that's great advice. And then I wanted to show these pieces, well, because I just noticed that in most of your pieces, you use like the butterflies, and you do a lot of skulls.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, what inspires you, and who or what influences your work? And is there a meaning behind the butterflies or the skulls?
Yeah. Okay. So well, I didn't really start to like learn about Mexico, like the history of Mexican art and just the history of Mexico, or even just the culture, like until I got a lot older. Like being from Detroit is a little ironic that like I didn't really know about Frida or Diego Rivera or any of them until like I was out of high school, until like I actually had to take an art history class. And like it's kind of like sad that like I'm not the only one. Like a lot of artists are just people in the neighborhood. We're Detroiters, but we don't know that this Mexican history exists in our city. And so like I started to like when I started to like find myself and just like identify what work I was gonna start doing, and what story I wanted to tell, what message I wanted to give. Like I started to do like a lot of research on like you know like just little things that represent Mexico and things that represent like being Mexican, and so like but finding ways that I can incorporate it into my work. And like I think that like one thing that really helps me is that there's not many Mexican artists in Detroit. Detroit is like a very high percentage like population of Black people, and then I would say um, then it would be whites, then it's Mexicans. I think Mexicans we're up there. We have a high percentage, but it's like nowhere near like Chicago or like other big cities across the country, or California, of course, or Texas. And so what really helped me was that like I kind of had to like force myself to like create this identity in a sense of like like almost bring that presence to Detroit, because it was like it feels lonely, like, and this is crazy because it's like when I was in LA or Chicago, anytime I've been to Home Depot to go buy on paint runs, and like man, like outside of the Home Depot in Chicago there's a tamale lady, and
Well,
like you go to Home Depot here in Detroit, like you see like maybe one Mexican or zero Mexicans at Home Depot, and like it just like it was just a quick like perspective. And so like um this is something that I wanted to like highlight, and always like I felt like it would identify with myself, where most artists that like are muralists or whatever, the context of what they paint is just kind of more like what is pleasing to the eye, what gravitates towards people, what they want to see. And like for me is like I of course I want to execute that, but in a sense where I don't have to try so hard to be someone I'm not, where I just what identifies with me and my culture is like what the stuff that I want to be painting. And so the skulls I kind of do, for me, and like I feel like they represent a very ironic approach of like, like something so dark, but I find a way to bring like beauty and something that someone could consider something very, very deep or dark. And so like I felt like even just how, going deeper than that, I feel like skulls represent like what's beneath anybody's flesh. So it's like it's not so much identity of someone's appearance. It's just the identity of our core, of who we are as people, as human beings, like what's beneath us. But at the end, we're all just bones. And so like and then just meshing that with like, of course, like Dia de los Muertos and like being Mexican and like, like that culture, like it just adds another layer, and it makes me like super like it just like it brought everything together for me in a sense. And so like and then just finding ways to be unique with it too. Like I think like it's a great it's a great template to work from, and I felt like for me it was something that I'll never get bored of doing, and never get bored of like finding different ways to incorporate it. And so like, you know, even but again, you know, like with other projects, like, you know, people are like opposed to that, like, you know, and for me it's cool because like art is subjective, it's up for interpretation. So whatever, however it makes people feel, like I'm just open to hearing people's like feedback. And you know, like I'm not by any means trying to shove a certain like idea down their throat, you know, like whatever you see my work and whatever you might interpret from it, you know, that's great too, you know. And so that's another way that I'm kind of like, you know, organic with it.
Yeah, no, that's great. I agree with you. I'm more like, you know, what's beneath you, under you, than what's, you know, what shows what's outside of you. So and now that I know, I'm more fan than I was of your work.
Thank you,
And
appreciate you.
I do have one time you were doing a giveaway, and I got one of the skulls that you hand painted. So
Oh, nice,
yeah,
nice.
so yeah, no, I love that interpretation of the skulls and how you bring, you know, your culture. Now after you, I mean, once you grow up, you learn your culture, and you're making sure you're showing that on your work. So that's great. And then, do you have a favorite mural? Which one is your favorite?
um See, like I always think like that's like a really hard question because there's some murals that I've painted that are better than others, but I feel like I can even go back to my first mural, and my first mural taught me like so much. So like, you know, I love them all equally in the sense that each one has helped me achieve something different, you know, a different attribute. And so I just look at every mural as my favorite one. And I guess I would say like the intention is always to like always make your work better than the last one. But at the same time, like honestly, I don't even get caught up in that. Like I'm just trying to like experiment sometimes, and just I could be in different mindsets and at different places in life. So it's like sometimes I'll be literally very competitive, where like I really want to get the best out of my work, and I really want to be, you know, like the best artist I can be, you know. And other times I'm just like, it doesn't even matter, like I'm enjoying what I'm doing, like as long as I'm creating and I feel good about it, like who cares, like the politics or whatever. And so like, so it's just like different times mean different things. And so it's like they could be very they can contradict one another. And so that's another reason why I wouldn't pick just one. I can tell you what's been my most successful one. And so like, and I can tell you maybe why I think why. I want to say you chose it. It's in one of the slides that you picked, but it's the one of the sugar skull of the calaca. He's dancing with the girl. I want to
Oh,
say that, yeah, that's been one of my most successful ones.
this one right here in
Yeah,
the
the one
slide.
on the right.
On the right, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's been one of my most successful ones because of the area that it was painted in. Eastern Market was like Eastern
Yeah.
Market, for people that aren't from Detroit. Eastern Market is like Wynwood, or like the art district in LA, where it's kind of like just like the check-in spot. If you're in Detroit, you want to see murals, like this is like the place to go take pictures in front of murals. And so
Yeah.
Eastern Market had no Mexican artwork in the market before this one that I know. I think my friend Marca painted one on Gratiot, but he was more into the indigenous, like the Indian, like Aztec style of art. And so like I always felt like being a Chicano and just being like having that Latino like identity, like I wanted to have something that would just like just hit you like when you looked at it, and like there was no fronting like that we were here and we exist. And so it was like that was like my message and my intention behind that one. And like the fact that like it almost didn't happen. Like I was so busy doing, like I did these basketball courts with the Detroit Pistons during the same time, and so I had like a 2-day window to paint this. And so like it was like, yo, it was like so hard. It was like so much going on, but like I had that momentum and that energy to want, like I felt like this needed to exist here, so I did this here. And like, and because it was like the first or the second, you know, piece of like Mexican art in the market, like it like generated so much buzz. And like I feel like I get tagged on it like maybe once or twice a week.
Yeah,
And so
that's
it's
very
like,
cool. And I see that you use the same. I don't know if how you did it, but I know you. I don't know if you painted on a bands on the shoes. Is
yeah, we'll
that
talk
something
about
that
that.
you? Was that handmade or was it like pre-made or like?
Okay, so that was a cool story. Vans, they did a workshop. Well, they did a pop-up called House of Vans in Detroit last winter. I want to say it was last winter, maybe 2 winters ago. And pretty much they had a workshop where you can design a shoe, and if every day they picked a winner, and if you won, they would actually go and fabricate your own shoe,
Oh
and
wow.
you would have a limited edition one shoe. And so I went the first day, and I love the workshop. Like I fell in love with that process. So like, even when you asked me, like if I wasn't doing your murals, I'd probably be doing design or something else, because I fell in love with like seeing how something can get made firsthand.
Mhm.
And like I never had that accessible to me or had any idea how that could even be possible, because like all you see is like athletes or like, like famous people getting their shoe. And so like
Mhm.
I won the first day that I tried it. I actually ended up winning. And then I went back the next day to compete again, because I was like, man, like, like it's just so fun. I just went back. And so like that was one of the designs that I used, and they put that on a shoe. And so we did a limited, well, first it was a one of one, and then I did another one that were like serape patterns
Mhm.
on the Vans.
I saw
And
this.
then yeah, and that was another one of one. And then I ended up pitching the idea to StockX, and then StockX, they have a good relationship with Vans, and so we ended up putting together a limited edition run through StockX and Vans. And so like that's kind of how everything just like it just snowballed, And so like I think once StockX gave me the platform to showcase the shoe, the demand went like crazy. And so like I haven't. I mean, I think COVID happened, and like I've continued to work with Vans, and we have a good relationship. But like given the times that we're in, I do know that they're like on a different agenda now, and so like I don't put anything like past them. Things can happen in the future, but like that limited run, like that was like super cool to be able to have that opportunity out of something that was just like a quick idea. And like like I just felt like that would be a strong thing to put on a shoe, and people would feel cool to wear it. And so like yeah, it was super exciting.
Yeah, it was really cool. I'm sad that I didn't get to buy one of those shoes. Hopefully, have a new design, and we'll be able to get more shoes.
Yeah, for sure.
um. So, what do you dream of painting a mural? Because I mean, I know you've been to Netherlands and Mexico, Colombia, and France, but like, is there a place that you still would like to have paint a mural? And if so, who would you like to, paint that mural?
um that's great. That's a great question. Maybe I would say like I would really want to paint a mural in Mexico City, just because like what murals mean to, like I feel like, and I could be wrong, but I feel like the history of murals and like the importance of murals do stem from Mexico. Like it's a Mexican, very old traditional thing in Mexico. And so like I always feel like it would mean so much to like all the stuff that I've done in Mexico has always been like just like production, like graffiti themed murals or walls that we do like as a group. And it hasn't been like I don't have like an individual like big 50-foot mural and on the side of a building. But it would be it would be a dream just to have that, to have that presence out there, because I just feel like I would feel at home in a sense, and I would also meet the connection that I would make with people down there would be a lot more like it'd be more constructive, to where like I feel like being Chicano is like it's kind of like a double-edged sword sometimes, because like you go to Mexico and you're not Mexican enough to be Mexican, but then you're here and you're not American enough to be, you're too Mexican to be American, and so it's like you're right in the middle. And so like I feel like I kind of like having that accessible to me would be like amazing. And I do have friends down there. I just like, again, like COVID kind of like stops a lot of opportunities sometimes from
Yeah.
traveling, especially. But that would be like my bucket list of like top like dream, like a dream thing. And so like, and maybe I guess like my second dream would, I know you only asked me for one, but I guess
Oh, go
another
ahead.
one would be like DIA, of course. Like, man, like
Oh,
I'm
oh, that
like,
would be nice, especially like to Dio Rivera's
yeah,
mural.
one
Yeah,
day, we're working for it. That'd be insane. But yeah, yeah. So
that's
those
awesome.
two.
This one of I think it's in Grand Rapids, if I'm not mistaken, the one with the lotes and esquites.
Mm-hmm.
When I saw that one, it just brought me back to Mexico. I don't know, like, I felt like when I saw it, I was in Mexico. It's just because, like, I understand when you say you want to go down to Mexico City and do a mural. Like, when I saw this, I really like felt like I was on the street, getting an elote. So it's just, I
Yeah,
think you do a really good job of just, bringing out your culture and all. I mean, your storytelling is just, it's great.
thank you. No, thank you. Yeah, yeah. And for me, it was just like I've been seeing videos of like, food vendors be like getting mistreated, and like I
Right.
don't know, like man, like that always like it hits home, because it's like, like my parents are, they're immigrants, and so like I see them, I see them come home from work, like still to this day, like they work like really really hard, and so it's like, it like it's a kind of really really sad thing to see that, when people don't appreciate somebody that's working hard, like these people are, like these street vendors are in nobody's way, they're literally just trying to make, I don't know, like $80 a day at most, like, they don't make much, they're just literally finding a way to make a living, and they're not in anybody's way or making any excuses or nothing. And so like I just felt like they needed to be highlighted, and they needed to be acknowledged, and it was like, this mural is actually in Flint, so it was like the Flint Mural Project. They're a great group of people, man. Like I've been going to Flint since I was like maybe 16, 17, and they've always been super supportive of like any artist like that wants to go paint a mural, because I look at them like Detroit kind of picked up in the last couple of years, but Flint's always been the same. They've always been struggling, and they've always like needed that resource. And so like for me, it's just like an opportunity to like branch out, and like, just I know that there's Mexicans out there, so just like for them to have artwork out there that they can, feel at home to as well. And so like, because if you think about it, Michigan is so high up on the map that like we're
Yeah.
so far away from Mexico, and so it's like having work like this just, elevates the mood, and like, definitely gives us a presence.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. And so, with who would you? I mean, is there somebody that that's maybe aspire to be, or maybe that you want to collaborate with?
Um, I guess like one of my biggest influences, it happens to be like one of my really close friends. His name's Jesus Benitez,
Mhm.
and he's amazing. Like we've never collaborated because our styles are so different. Between him and maybe Sanit. Sanit is a Mexican artist from Mexico City as well, where I feel like me and his work will be like, we'll complement each other all day, because like there's certain things that he just inspires the hell out of me, because he's like, I feel like him as a Mexican artist, he's like total successor. He's like done collaborations with Jarritos. He just got done doing work with Indio, the beer line. He has his own beer labels, and like he's a total hustler, like total like he understands his identity as an artist, and like he's remained consistent, and like, like him like making it in Mexico City is like, it's a very hard thing to do. It's a
Yeah.
very very big accomplishment. So like I respect like him and Smith, and there's so many artists in Mexico City that are like killing it, and so like maybe like collaborating with one of those guys would be cool.
Yeah, well, hopefully after COVID, if we ever done with this, you can you can make that happen, or we can even help you. We started a
Yeah,
hashtag yesterday. They started a hashtag, so one of the uh, illustrators that presented yesterday wanted to collaborate with Oprah. So we'll start a hashtag and we'll start posting them, so you can go to Mexico and do a mural with them.
yeah. And then eventually another cool thing I'd want to do is clothing. So like collaborate with like maybe Equia. She does like have you ever seen her coats? She does like they're like the cobija. So
Oh,
like, how it's the season for like it gets cold. We have the little animal
yes.
blanket. She makes like these cool ass jackets out of like cobijas, and like she's so cool.
Nice.
Maybe her like Virgil would be cool, man, because he's like in the high end fashion. So like finding a way to like mesh our Latino culture with high-end fashion would be another cool thing that I would be like just like super excited about, because I feel like there's no ambassador yet of like, like our kind of clothing, reaching that high-end market, and so like there's nobody in the middle that could find us that loophole yet. And so like, the talent's there, like the pride is there, like, and the market's there. Like I know Mexicans, they see cool stuff that's like Mexican related, they buy it, so.
Yeah, we do. I mean, I know I mentioned before that you have that Mazapan sweater that I
Yeah.
sold out on your website, but I'm like, that's just really cool. And like you say, it's just it makes us connect with who we are. So that's just really good. Yeah. Um, and then what's the most challenging project that you have ever worked on? I mean,
I want to say like it just happened recently in November of last year. It was one that I did for El Nacimiento. So I want to say it was like a 40-foot wall, 40 by like maybe 20 feet. So it was like a really, really big wall. And it wasn't so much of the scaling. It was a great opportunity to me. It was like super cool. But it was the weather. It was November was like it was already hitting 30s, maybe
yeah.
20s. And so Detroit was getting really, really cold. I ended up catching pneumonia. And so, yeah, it was like scary, because like I got really sick, and I've never gotten really sick. Like I've always like stay hydrated. I always like try to like eat good and just prepare myself for a very like productive week, ahead of me of a mural install, because like it's a lot of physical labor when it's big scale. But that wall, like, man, that wall beat me up, because it was just like so cold, and like the what that mural meant to the owner as well. It was just like it was the first time, like I'll admit, like it was like the first time I ever felt pressure of like,
Yeah.
can I finish this? Like, is it gonna look how I want to finish, like how I want it to look like? And like being that sick too, I don't think I've ever been that sick before in my life. And like the doctor like lectured me too. He's like you should have came sooner. Like, if there's no you, there's nothing else. So you need to put yourself first. And like it was kind of like a changing point for me too. So like from that moment on, like I'll probably do one mural per week at most, or I'll gap out 2 weeks per project. So I don't really overwork myself anymore for the same reason. At least being outdoors, if I'm indoors, I'm okay. But it was just like, I think like what really brought me down and made me weak was just like overworking, and like just being very tired, and then being exposed to like low temps and high heights. It's just that wind when you're up really, really high, it's really windy up there. And it was like that really like did it. And so like that was for me, like just like a challenging on the health aspect. I was just like, whoa, like I really need to like take care of myself and like just better prepare myself for any future projects that could be as big.
Yeah, of course you don't want. I mean, you don't want to get sick, out of doing your work. I mean, is you have a work ethic, but it's that went too far.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
All right, and then if you could change anything about the industry, what would it be?
Um, I think it's controversial. Maybe I would hate the amount of. I mean, maybe if I could change anything, it would be the the way that it's ranked, because I feel like as a young artist, like anxiety and like intimidation shouldn't exist. Compared to like I feel like we live in such a like a era where everything is social media based. Who you are on social media dictates who you are in real life, and it's like, man, like that's one of the main reasons I love graffiti, because it was like, again, like some people might consider it vandalism, but like that was like one of the only true art forms where artwork speaks for itself. Like people don't have to know who the person is; they just respected the work. And so it's like I feel like it could be very discouraging for artists that are starting out to like see other artists who aren't as good get these great opportunities because of their resources and because of who they know, and you know, they get overlooked because they lack, you know, connections, and they lack that exposure that they need, or that platform, or the spotlight. And so it's like, if I could change that, it would just be this, just like the way that people view things, in a sense. Because like, I feel like everybody's talent has a talent, and everybody should be able to have an equal opportunity, you know, to be great at what they do, and to have that encouragement. Because I feel like, you know, I didn't have it, but it took me a lot more than I would say, like, than adversity. You know, like, I had to go beyond like failure to really break through. Because like, and that's where I realized I love art, you know, and I love what I do. Because there's been many moments in life that like have challenged me, and like, man, like, should I just like quit? Should I go get another job? You know, like, should I just like drop what I'm doing? And then as soon as I'm in that moment, like, the phone rings, and boom, I have like a big project, or like I have work. And so like, the universe is weird, you know, but I know that like it takes a lot more than, you know, than what the average can handle to become an artist, just because of what you go through. And like, I wish that I wish that it wasn't so harsh. I wish that more artists would be willing to give like the helping hand, and it was a lot more artists look at it as more of like a longevity, instead of like intimidation of like, I don't want him or her to be better than me because they're younger, and you know, they didn't sacrifice what I sacrificed. Like, artists need to stop looking at it like that, in a sense of like, it doesn't matter what you sacrifice, you know, and what they haven't yet. It's what you sacrifice is for them to have that. You know, it's like, you know, I've met a lot of art, like, I deal with a lot of discrimination for being younger than a lot of the older, because of the politics. It's like, well, all right, I'm sorry I'm not old enough and I don't have the seniority you have, but that doesn't mean that I'm, you know, like, if in a sense you work, in a sense what you contributed to the art, you know, community is I'm reaping the benefits, you know. So you need to look at it that way, of what you did for yourself actually ended up working out for everybody else too. So don't be selfish in the sense of like feeling like I need to work the same as you. And it's like, there's different ways, you know. It's like the same thing with my parents. It's like, Mexican parents can look at you as like, if you're not working a hard labor job, like, is it really a job? And it's like, no, like, it's like that machismo like needs to, like, you know, like, kind of like go away. Because it's like, it's not about that. I think accomplishments come in many different shapes and forms. And it's like, people need to be more open-minded to, you know, what everybody's contribution is, and how it can help somebody, instead of like, you know, feeling like there needs to be a certain standard to, you know, like, live up to someone's par. And it's like, that's the one thing I don't like about art, is like, that side of the politics, like, I really don't like. Because it's like I do it for me, and like, I love what I do, but I hope that I kind of like inspire and I attract more people to want to do what they want to do, whether it's whatever it is. And so it's like, and I always try to relate to the people that don't have the resources. Because it's like, to be honest, like I all this, to me, like, everything that I've accomplished came to me from wanting to go get it and do it. I didn't really know anybody. Like, even when I went out to Europe, like, the times that I was out there initially, I went out there not knowing anybody, not knowing a word of the language, not knowing. I just went, you know, as a pioneer. And I went because I wanted to do it. I wanted to learn it. And I feel like it shouldn't have to be that hard. I do enjoy the beauty. I do enjoy the path, but I feel like it should be a little more accessible for artists, especially here in Detroit. And so, like, you know, hence my like purpose, and like, you know, that kind of what my whole thing is like, that longevity. It's like, I can't wait to meet like a younger artist coming up in the neighborhood, and like find a way to help them, you know, bring out the best in themselves.
Yeah, like you said, we have to like support each other, right? Instead of like competing against. It's like, we have, I mean, as an artist, you have it difficult for just first because of the career, and then also adding on top like your Latinx, or, you know, Hispanic, Chicano, whatever, you're like Black. It's just like, you add all of that, and it's difficult. And then like competing against each other, it makes it more difficult. So I think, like you said, we should just support each other and just work hard and inspire others, right? To be doing what they want to do, like whatever it is that they want to do, but just do it, you know,
People, yeah,
because
yeah, because people need to realize this. Like, if you think about all the big companies that compete, Tylenol versus Advil, or like Ford versus Chevy, all these big companies, they're really not. There's really no bad blood between these companies. They actually get along very well. If
Right.
anything, they both help each other. Like that. If there was not one, there wouldn't be the other. In a sense, you know. So like,
Mhm.
people need to stop looking at competition in such a negative way, and almost look at it in a positive way, as someone trying to bring out the best in you, and or just like that like
Right.
that energy that goes both ways, you know,
Yeah.
that mutual like energy. And so it's like that's always been my thing. And so like I even when I meet people now, I try not to like kind of let them know what I do. Like I like to meet people as like as just like, hey, what's up, I'm Freddy. And then, you know, whoever they are, I like to meet them as who they are themselves, not what they do for a living. I don't base somebody on who they are out on the internet, or what they do for a living that will dictate who they are as people, you know, because I feel like I've learned the most things from the people that have the most like day-to-day jobs. And like I man, I appreciate, I respect people who can do that. Like if I could have went to school and became a doctor or a lawyer, like, man, like I would have been able to do it. But like I have so much respect for academically gifted people too, because like it takes so much discipline and hard work. And like I deal with that on a daily basis, just on logistics, when I gotta email people and like get on these Zoom chats with people. It's like, yo, some people are just on it. They're like sharp, like with everything. And so like I admire that. Like I can be pretty unorganized sometimes as an artist, and I think it's like it's just a common thing. Like our mind is just like, but
Right.
but when you meet someone who's like super organized, I'm just like, dang, like I admire that, because like I wish I had that, you know.
Right. Yeah. You start buying planners and all of that. So
Yeah. Well, I'm the kind that I'll buy the planner and it'll last for a week, and then it's like,
see,
whatever happened to the planner? It's like shit, like yeah, it never
yeah.
happened.
No, I completely agree. um, um, and so next, anything outside graffiti that you want to try? Well, I mean, no, you already mentioned like clothing and all of that, but anything
um
outside that you want to try?
yeah, I really want to do tattoos,
Oh,
because
nice.
I've seen, yeah, like I've seen like especially in California, like yo, it's crazy. Some of these guys can like, and girls. I follow this one Mexican artist. She's from Guadalajara. She's insane. I'll pull her up. I'll send you her link later. But yo, they can tattoo like amazing. And like I like there's artists here that are gifted in Detroit,
Mhm.
but like doing that style of like traditional like Chicano like nice like beautiful detailed art, like I haven't really, it's not really common. You know, you go to LA, you can find so many artists doing it and killing it. But I would love to do tattoos, just because like I would want to, like, I don't know, I watched the documentary, I don't know if you've seen it, LA Originals,
Like,
with Mr.
no.
Mr. Cartoon. Yo, he is like, he started off doing graffiti, and like he's tattooed like Eminem, like 50
Wow.
Cent, Dr. Dre, like all these like celebrities, you know. But he like what makes him so unique was that he took his graffiti knowledge and almost like combined it with tattoo culture. And so he became like this hybrid of like just like more of two different cultures into one. And he became, that's how his identity and his style came about. And it was just like so inspiring to me. So like I've been doing my research and like trying to like learn, like maybe this winter, like, but I'll offer like first 10 people that let me tattoo them, or like later on I'll hook them up when I'm better, you know. But
Right.
it's gonna take a lot of like, that's one thing, is like I am afraid, I won't lie, I am afraid, because it's like tattooing is like, you're not like painting a wall where like,
Right, you can
you
paint.
know.
I mean, you can. No, you can paint. I mean, you will have to remove it with laser, but I mean, still, it's not like you can paint off it, right?
Well, and like skin, it like breathes and like sweats, and like
Right.
people move, so it's like, I don't know, just understanding the way that works. And it's not flat, you know, like every part of your body has like, you know,
True. Yeah.
different shapes. And so like just understanding that. But I'm interested, like 100% I'm on board, maybe next couple years.
Nice. Yeah, that would be really nice. Coming in. I've been wanting to get a tattoo. I haven't. So it will make it happen. That's really great. And then if you can share, what's your hobby and what do you do when you're not painting?
I would say right now I got two hobbies, maybe three, two and a half. One of my hobbies right now is I bought a car that I'm working on. It's 1974 Oldsmobile Cutlass. I'm gonna make it into a lowrider, and it's
Nice.
gonna be like super cool. But I think it's gonna take me a couple of years just because everything's so damn expensive. But right now, like I'm doing the most minimal stuff that it's not so expensive, like just working on the body work and like getting everything ready for paint and like that stuff I do know how to do. So like whatever I can do with the least amount of money, like I'm starting to like work on that. So like on my free times, like I have a good friend of mine that like he's like very excited that I got this car. So he's like, yo, like you want to, what's up, man? What's up with the car? We're gonna finish it or what? And I'm just like, yo, like all right. So he's been like really pushing me to like get this car done. So like that's one thing that's been like taking my time. um Maybe my second thing is I do play a lot of video games like crazy. Like I'm playing the Call of Duty like heavy. I'm not good at it. Like, dude, it's like I think I just hopped on really late, but I have fun. Like it's a good way that like me and all my friends would get to hang out on the game and like talk to each other and it's funny, like, you know. So it's a good place for all of us to be in the same room. Like Call of Duty, like play the Fortnite and the FIFA. The new FIFA just came out, so like just video games. It's just like, you know, stay home and be safe in the meantime, so I can get outside. And then I got my girlfriend, of course. That's like the half hobby. I
Yes.
wouldn't say she's a hobby, you know, but I've been dating her for not too long, but like it's been a transition in my life because just making time for a relationship is a big transition if you're an artist. And like for me, I've been, before I had a girlfriend, like recently I was single for maybe 5 years, and that whole 5 year gap was just a huge sacrifice and like just laser tunnel focus of like art. And then like organically, like I met somebody and like it worked out, you know, like didn't have to try too hard. Like it just like she understood like that art is my thing and like doesn't and just respects it and like appreciates it. But she's not like, ironically enough, she doesn't even care for art like that. Like, which is like very cool for me because I don't have the pressure of her, you know, like it's a weird, we're like the opposites attract, you know, like she's not
Yeah,
very
exactly.
artsy.
Yeah.
And she's very understanding and cool with it, like, but she lets that like belong to me, you know. Like
That's awesome.
it's weird. Like I really appreciate her for that. Like it's, she gives me that balance, you know, like somebody said it up there, like balance. So for sure. So I've
That's
been
good.
spending a
Yeah,
lot of
make
time
sure
with
to
the
give her
lady.
time to be with her
Yeah,
and all of that.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Oops. And then so the last question that I have, I'll check the chat because I'm sure we got some more questions. But what's next for you? I know like now with, I mean, winter coming. Yeah, I mean, it's not like that you get a lot of work to work outside, right? So what's next for you?
So like if we're talking near future, I want to do like hoodies and like sweatshirts, like start working into like dropping like merch, just because like again, you know, we talk about just being accessible and people wanting to wear stuff and you know having stuff to wear over the winter. I like layers, so like if I can come out with stuff that I want to wear just for my own personal sake, and then people can support it and buy it if they like it, that'd be cool. And also just like I think I want to start doing more fine art, like canvases, just because last, like the beginning of COVID, like I actually had a show before COVID hit that was going to be in April or May with M Contemporary, and like we ended up doing it online because everything was so weird, but it did really well. So like I never knew I had a market in the fine art world. Like I never had any idea because like I've only showed in like 2 or 3 galleries like ever. And so like yeah, I never knew it existed. And so like now I'm just like, yeah, like I want to do like canvases. And like I just found out what my favorite paint is. It's like acrylic. It's called Nova acrylic. And like, yo, like the pigment is really really good. It like paints like, it's like almost like a liquidy gesso, where it's very opaque but very smooth. And so like I
Nice.
want to go buy a ton of that. They're based out of LA, if I'm not mistaken. And so like I want to buy a lot of that, and this winter just paint from home, and maybe do print runs of it, of like the artwork, like because I've done in the past. And then just like, yeah, maybe stickers, like just little stuff that people can support and buy. And like, you know, I always try to be accessible, like on top of paying my bills. And like if murals come about like indoors, I'll probably be doing that too. And then and yeah, that's probably like near future. And then like
How about
far
like
future,
far future, like next, I don't know,
uh
3, 5 years?
traveling. If the border opens up, like I want to go to Europe.
Yeah.
and I want to go to LA to learn the tattoo. So like those two places would like I feel like they'd bring out the best of me and like doing like that apprenticeship. So
Mm-hmm.
like because I want that to be kind of like a side thing that I do. Like not I don't want to I do want to hyper focus, but like maybe take like 10 bookings a year. Like not do it too crazy to where it's like like the people that are getting tattooed by a year that like I don't have like this mass demand for it where I can do it very calmly and like what people are getting from me are like really good tattoos in a sense of like there's no pressure, like because
Yeah.
I do want to do murals. I kind of like when I get tired of murals, I want to do tattoos, and then when I get tired of tattoos, I want to go back to murals and like kind of
Right.
just like rotate different things so that I don't like get burnt out of one thing.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's always good to have, like you say, jump from different projects, like so that you don't get tired and burn out. So
Yeah, yeah.
that's awesome. Well, I'm waiting for that Mazapan sweater. So
You're
if
ready to
you have
restock
time,
coming
work
soon.
on
Yeah.
that. And I got a question. I'm trying to.
Yeah, if anybody's got questions, like for sure, I'm
Yeah.
an open book. I'll help out anybody that needs any advice or like just any personal knowledge I can give for sure.
Dylan, can you check on the Q&A? I don't know. I don't know if it's because I'm sharing my screen that I cannot see the
Oh
question.
yeah, that's sometimes how it happens. Yeah, we have a question from Jesse the Bison. Have you ever seen anything that graphic designers are doing in their work that you might explore?
Yes, animation. Like, yo, what? Animated, like, and just like I don't know, like I guess just being cleaner. Like, I feel like any graphic design artist that I see, like, they kill it. Like, yo, like a lot of my process in painting murals comes from seeing how graphic artists layer up, like the way that the process of layers work. And so like that helps me out to where like if I start like I use a tablet like Procreate a lot. So like when I do murals, I'll just like take a picture of the wall, upload it to Procreate app or to the Procreate, and then I draw right over the wall. Like I select a new layer and draw right over the wall. So like that's usually how I get a sense of scaling. But yeah, and then once I learn how to break every single layer, I know like okay, my reds and my blues and like you learn to like kind of almost it gives you the whole formula to do a mural in a sense, like step by step of like first I'm gonna add the black, then I'm gonna add the blue, and then I'm gonna add whatever. And
Mhm.
so like man, like graphic designers like help me out a lot. And in terms of just like presentation, like when you get clients that are like corporate, they want to see everything digital. They don't want like it's all about premeditation. So like any graphic designer, I had my hats like take my hat off to them because it's like they execute that very well in terms of like planning and like they're almost like they're pretty much an architect, in a sense of like how they present stuff, and the way that they see the world too, where how they want things, to be looked at. And it's a big responsibility. Like one thing that I get asked about a lot is if I do logos, and I can't really do logos because it takes a lot of like you got to be really good at like graphic to be able to do that kind of stuff. I'm not by any means, that's not my thing.
Yeah, no, I seen again on your Instagram where you show the process, like how you have it obviously white and then you have just the outline, and like you said, you go by colors, and then how you go back and do it like a black outline, and it's just like it's like all those layers, like you say, like a graphic designer. But that's great. Then Dylan, can you do the next question? Sorry.
Yeah. No, you're good. We have one from Thompson Roth who says, what would you say is the most difficult thing in graphic design?
um uh, that's a good question. I guess I guess for me it would be like maybe figuring out how to reach an audience that you want to reach, because like it could be so like it's very hard. I guess I would say being unique, that's like the hardest, because graphic design is like you could think of like the coolest idea and then someone's already done it. So it's like finding ways to like make it in your own way, something that has been done millions, like like for example, like the growth, like the evolution of a logo. So if like you look at the first Instagram icon, you know, which is like there was like this old camera that's all like ugly or whatever, and seeing the evolution of how it's transitioned, it's like I can't imagine like the same, like the artist had designed the first one, like, or it being the same one, having to redesign it every couple years and like update it. And it's like, what can I do to change it but also keep it the same? And so it's like I would say like just being creative in that aspect of being original too and consistent is like, I think that's really hard to execute in graphic.
While we're waiting for some more questions, I definitely have a question for you. So you had mentioned like you're working on car stuff right now. Car culture here in Detroit is like a huge thing, and especially in Southwest as well. Like we got are you gonna get like your lowrider blessed, the blessing of the lowrider? Are you gonna do some painting on it? Like what's your plans to like bring some artistry and culture into that?
For sure. Yo, I'm so excited because I feel like it's a good opportunity to like, I think like for one, I don't really know a lot of muralists or like artists, like painters that have their own lowrider car. Like usually everybody that I've known personally, like, and if there is someone out there that is an artist, I do want to meet them and I need to learn from them. But like, I think like it's gonna be interesting to see what my car would turn out like, given the fact that like I can take it from so many different angles. And like one of the cool things that I know for sure that's going to be pretty authentic that I do is like the headliner of the car, the inside, we're going to do it as stretched canvas. So it's almost like it has like the texture of an actual like painting instead of like suede. Some people do suede tops, some people do like leather or different kinds of fabrics. We're going to do stretched canvas. So like, and we're going to gesso it, and then I'm going to paint something on the inside. So that's going to be like one cool thing that already off the bat it's gonna be like super original that I know like a lot of I've never seen it done in lowriding, but like it's gonna be interesting because like it's almost authentic to myself to where like I'm the painter, so like that's why that is what it is. It identifies with me, and then obviously like I've been doing a lot of research in like airbrushing and like learning how to do like cool stuff like that little effects that could go for as far as the paint job goes on the outside.
Yeah.
And then I am gonna get it blessed.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. That's
sure.
always like, for those of you who are not from Detroit, that's a like specific Detroit event that is really fun. We have another question here from an anonymous attendee. How did you make the jump from graffiti to the corporate world?
Oh, okay. You guys got time? Because it's kind of a long story. But if you want the short one, I give you like the short summarized story. But it was, I want to say like, I went to Europe. I dropped out of college because art school, like I had a meeting with my admissions counselor when I started to lower down like on my grades. And like, I remember asking her, I was like, yo, I was like, yo, college sucks, like straight up. Like if you can survive and get a degree, anybody that I know out there with a degree, oh my God, dude, hats off. I respect you so much because you go broke for a long time. Unless you like got wealthy family that can pay for everything, you go broke for a long time. Like it's so stressful. You have like so much homework. You don't sleep. Like I don't know. Like it was so bad for me. And so like I remember asking my teacher. I was like, "Yo, if I quit my job and I take out all these student loans and I finish and like I get this degree, like what can you like guarantee me? You know, what can you guarantee me as someone that's willing to go through with your curriculum?" And they said, I remember her answer being like, I can't guarantee you anything. You have to guarantee you something. And so when she said that, I was just like, whoa, like everybody here is like putting all their chips in and like money they don't have, they're taking it out, you know, to complete this course and like get this degree, and there's nothing guaranteed. And like, and I mean, it's probably an obvious answer, right? But at that moment for me, it was kind of like an epiphany. And I was just like, yo, like if I'm going to succeed or fail, like I might as well do it doing something I want to do instead of like, you know, taking the road most traveled where it's like the safest route where you get a degree and I mean, that's the idea everybody has, right? You go to school, you get a degree, you get a job. But here I was with this lady telling me like I wasn't gonna, like they couldn't guarantee me nothing. So it's just like, so like that made me like take a bigger leap. And I was like, all right, well, what's one thing I really want to do? And like, I remember like the only thing I had of value was my car. And so like I sold it for like $3,000, and then I bought a plane ticket one way to Europe. And I lived in France for a couple months, and I worked as a studio assistant. And graffiti, I swear, dude, graffiti was my anchor. I met everybody that I met in Europe were graffiti writers, and then they had connections to, you know, the fine art world and other artists that were graffiti artists that turned artists. So like that already exists in Europe and had been existing for maybe 10 years before, you know, before I was even doing it. It was maybe like early 2000s. And so to see them established and to see them doing it out in Europe, and like to kind of be like just like a fly on the wall, was like, it made me realize that I needed to come home and kind of create that if I wanted to see it here in Detroit. And so when I got home, like the first thing I ever did was like I went knocking on everybody's business. So it was like restaurants, car washes, gas stations, like any small business that was in a neighborhood. And like eventually, like, you know, got work that way. And like the cool thing with that was like I met every business owner. Like that's who I was working with, local business owners. And that was my first template to getting my first corporate job. So like based on how every business owner that was in the neighborhood that kind of taught me how to kind of run my business, like eventually led to an opportunity with GM. GM was my first, they were my first big corporate job. And then, and I will give you this advice. Like I know this panel is like long and I'm sorry. But I will give you this advice is the best thing I ever did when I got GM as a client was I told them that I didn't know, you know, that I didn't know what I was doing, and that it was my first, that they were my first big client. And I know like it's a big risk to take because big companies could take advantage of you. And I've seen it done many times with different companies that they take advantage of artists and, you know, like they underpay and like whatever. But something about like just my honesty with my client that like, they just like really looked out for me. Like they were like, okay, well, I understand it's your first time. If you want us to hire you, you need to get an LLC. And so like, I was like, damn, I don't have an LLC. And they're like, no, don't worry. We'll wait for you. We'll go get an LLC. We'll wait for you. Go get an LLC. Then we'll hire you. We're not going to go to somebody else. And I was like, all right, cool. So then, you know, after I got my LLC, you know, and we finished the project, they later, like at the end of the project, and they paid me or whatever, like the last thing they sent me in an email was like, you know, here's a contract template. And like, to me, that's been the holy grail of like my business, because from that moment on, it was like, this is how we do our contracts with our clients. This is here, use this template and make it your own. And from here on out, when you work with other companies, which you will attract because you just work with us, you know, a lot of companies, they only like to work with one person, which is like, so if you get your foot in, you know, with the big company, they don't really like to run a lot of different artists through the system, which I hope that could change in the future too. But, you know, as far as the game's that way, if you get your foot in, you're in. And you want to make sure that, you know, you're consistent and you're delivering for them, because chances are, as long as you're doing good work, you'll always be working with them, you know. And so, and then the word gets out, everything's word of mouth. Word gets out that you do good work, and you'll start doing, you know, work with other companies. And so that's, for me, that's how the corporate thing happened. It's like from doing one good review with one corporate company, then the next one hires me. And then again, like I've worked both with GM and Ford, and they're both excellent clients of mine. Like they, you know, there's no like for me, like there's no competition and there's no bad blood. Like GM was more than happy to know that I got an opportunity with Ford and that I executed, you know, because it says a lot about somebody that they invested in a sense of like, they gave me a contract template. They showed me how to get an LLC. So like anytime somebody gives you any advice, they're not really necessarily trying to knock you down because you don't have something or you don't know something. It's more so like, yo, we're trying to help you. Like, if you don't have this, go get it, you know? And like, that was what I learned from that and what I took from it. And that's how, like, ever since, like, I've learned to have that corporate, to handle that corporate environment. And like, what I will say too is like, in the future, like, it does get better. Like, for me, it's gotten a lot better. I've gotten a lot more corporate clients that want me for the work I'm doing. And it's a lot less people I have to cater to, which is like so cool. Cause it's like, yo, like, can you imagine just like someone saying like, yo, like, we want to hire you to do something, do whatever you want to do. and then I send them images, and then you get it on the first one, and it's like, yo, no reviews, what? So then, like, yo, it's like the best, yo. So it's just like things get better. Things do get better as you go and as you grow. So like, just keep working. It's like the best thing I could tell somebody, and like, don't be discouraged when people don't really feel what you're doing yet, because like chances are maybe you're not in style yet. You know, you're like so ahead of your time. You know, like the style hasn't caught up to you, and so like you'll get your turn. Everybody gets their turn, and so like, and you'll learn to adjust too. Like a lot of things is just learning to adjust to times, and like, you know, one good musician is Drake. You know, he's been in our generation for a long time, and anytime a new artist comes out, Drake makes a song with them, because he's not like by any means intimidated by any new artist. He wants to embrace the youth coming up, and you know, like, you know, it's just an example. It couldn't, you know, whether somebody likes or not likes Drake's music, you have to respect that, you know, he's giving, you know, young artists the platform, and he's also adjusting to the market and the times. And that, like, me as a business person, like, I see that and I'm like, dang, like that dude is like, he is where he is for that mindset and that like formula.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, you have to adjust, right? You have to adjust to just like how we are doing it right now. Just with
Exactly.
COVID, we had
We're
to
in Zoom,
adjust,
like
right?
this could have been a different
Do,
panel. Yeah, we're on Zoom, so.
yeah. So.
But it's equal. I'm actually grateful, because like if you think about it, all the local businesses, at least like for me, and I don't know where everybody else is checking in from, but I know like there was like for a long time, it was like a lot of like mom and dad owned businesses, or father and son owned businesses that didn't have like Uber Eats and like you know, like what's the other Grubhub and all these DoorDash, and like now they're like getting hip to the technology, so like now they can give their business to the next level. Like when things go back to normal, they're still gonna have Grubhub people, they're still gonna have Uber Eats, like Uber Eats market. And so it's like just seeing like old fashioned businesses adapt to the new technology is like, it's exciting for me too, because I think we all kind of need that, you know, like we all kind of need an update. And yeah, and it's super important for sure.
Yeah, we do. Well, I think that's all the questions that we got. But if you guys go follow Freddy on Instagram to stay up to date on what he's doing. Also, his website is on the screen. Just stay up to date. Check it frequently, because I know that's where he has his stuff for sale. So like the sweaters, the shoes that we've been talking, the stickers, so you can find all of that there. Freddy, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for, you know, sharing your stories, your expertise, and your time with us tonight. So thank you.
So thank you guys. No, I appreciate you guys. And anytime you guys need something, feel free to message me. Email me. Email is probably the best way to get at me. So I don't really check the Instagram. A lot of times I didn't know the little request folder. Like I didn't know it existed. So like I'll forget. Yeah, like I'll forget. Like I even have like DMs in there. So like if you want to get a hold of me, like anybody, just email is like the best way. I get those like as a text message. It'll like come in as a text, so I'll know when someone's emailing me.
Okay.
Yeah,
so if I haven't replied to you, Anna, when you email me, I'm sorry, but I did see it.
Well, yeah, I'm excited to look forward to some more fun projects with you in the future too. So let's keep in touch.
Cool, Dylan.
Getting tons of thanks from everyone in chat here too. So thanks a ton for joining us.